So welcome everybody as you start to come in this afternoon. We are continuing our virtual tour series this summer. We have BiohubX here, but before we get into that presentation, we will do a little review or intro of what the rainforest analogy is all about, what the movement is all about, and we have our friends from Edmonton to do that. We have Joel here today to do that. But just to give everybody a little idea of how the hour will roll out, we'll have this presentation from Joel on the rainforest, and then we'll move straight into our virtual tour from BiohubX. And then we'll have some Q&A as usual. Please engage, throw questions in the chat as we go. And hopefully we have some time for small breakout rooms for some networking in the last half of the hour, and we'll be back as a main group at 12:55 to do community announcements. So you can get those ready to share at the top of the hour if you don't mind waiting until then to not take away from the presentation. So I'll turn it over to you, Joel, to introduce the rainforest.
Great, thanks. Hi from Edmonton. I'm Joel McElligott. I am a member of the steering committee for Edmonton Rainforest. If you're participating today, you're an active tweeter, feel free to use that LWOL hashtag and reference Rainforest AB or Rainforest YEG. So as hopefully, actually before we talk about the rainforest, I do want to talk about our, in the spirit of reconciliation, that we are living in traditional lands. So we acknowledge that all of us in Alberta live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, which is the Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Ikaye Nakota Nations, the Métis Nation of Region 3, and all of the people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta. For those of us up here in the Edmonton area, we acknowledge the traditional lands of the Treaty 6 territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, as well as the Métis. These sacred gathering places provide us with an opportunity to engage in and demonstrate leadership on reconciliation. I'd like to thank all of you who are here today for your enthusiasm and commitment to joining Rainforest Alberta as we do so. So a quick video here on what the rainforest is all about.
To realize an idea, or for a seed to sprout. At Rainforest Alberta, we know the answer is rooted in trust. Traditionally, Albertans have cultivated their ideas in established systems. Inputs that don't fit these systems are weeded out. Opportunities for growth are missed. But now, Albertans want a dynamic landscape that can evolve organically. At Rainforest Alberta, we believe a culture of trust is the fertile soil where ideas grow. Our budding innovation ecosystem is a network of relationships pulling each other up as they push forward in their own field. Trust breaks down barriers. An open, inclusive network increases collaborative innovation. Successful breakthroughs inspire new ideas. A cycle begins. Rainforest Alberta is a movement to amplify trust by cultivating honesty, inclusion, and accountability. How? Our social contract holds us accountable to demonstrate trust across the province. We meet to have honest conversations around collaboration. This leads to more inclusive spaces for everyone to fearlessly build new ideas together. By raising the standard of trust, Alberta's ideas, talent, and resources can be evergreen. Visit rainforestab.ca to sign the social contract and start growing together.
Great, thank you. So as we have been building the rainforest, we have 6 pillars that we use to guide our conversations. And the key one that we really talk about is culture, and discuss culture throughout our different ecosystems as areas, as well as the province as a whole. And to create those measurements, we do an annual scorecard assessment. You can see here what some of those numbers are, and really see where we land on each of those areas and those pillars. So just a few tips. I can let you read through this pretty quickly, but some of the important things is that we do hope that you do introduce yourself and ask lots of questions. connect with everybody who is on here through our Slack workspace or through direct messages. And in our Slack channel, we do have a lunch notes section that does capture this week's chat as well as every other week's chat. And you can find all of the recordings from each week on our YouTube channel. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Bridget to introduce our guests for today from BiohubX.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joel. That was great. So as mentioned, we have BiohubX with us today. They're a nonprofit founded in Calgary that provides lab space equipment and mentorship to commercial stage life science companies. And I'm going to let, we have Jeff Hopper here, the executive director. We have Tina Rinker, the co-founder. And we also have Elisa Park Kim, who's the business director at BiohubX, and Andrew, who is our tech helper here from the BiohubX side. We have a recording of the tour today, so we shouldn't run into some of the technical challenges we ran into last week on our tour. But I'll turn it over to them. And again, use that chat to ask questions and communicate with the rest of the room. And let's get into it. I will spotlight you, Andrew, so that your video shows up.
Get right into the tour.
Hello, Rainforest Alberta. My name's Jeff Hopper with BiohubX, and I'm here with
Elisa Park Kim. Welcome to BiohubX. We are ready for the Rainforest Summer Series tour.
And here we are in front of the building, and as you can see, we're in front of our sign, BiohubX, and this facility is called Biospace 1. Now we're going to take you inside for a tour of the facility. And you can see it's a two-story building, about 20,000 square feet. And we occupy the entire main floor of the building. Up here in Royal Oak, we've got lots of parking, and we're very near Costco and Walmart and a whole bunch of amenities. So it's a great place. Oh, there we go. Great, so here we are in the facility. But before we go on a tour, I'd like to tell you a little bit about BiohubX. We're a not-for-profit organization. We just launched in March. In this particular facility, we occupy about 10,000 square feet. And in this square footage, we offer turnkey laboratory and office space to SMEs in Alberta. As you notice on the sign, it shows BioHub, Biospace 1, powered by Dynalife. Dynalife is our industry partner in the facility, and they bring the industry knowledge and expertise to the facility and provide mentoring, and they just act like a resource. So before we get on the tour, Elisa, would you like to talk a little bit about the program?
Sure. In the near future, we are putting together a program that will support our ventures in the manufacturing, growth, and commercialization stage. So stay tuned to that announcement.
So why don't we go on a tour? First, we're going to walk through the office side of the facility. It's about 4,000 square feet. And if you follow us through, we've got BiohubX on the wall. I don't know if you can see it there. We've got a multi-function printer, all the things that you would see in a typical office. This here is our BioHub office. And as I said, we just launched in March, so we're still kind of moving in, but we do have a green wall. And if we take a tour, actually we'll go down this way.
We're going to be connecting with one of our founders who will share a cool story around how BiohubX connected with Rainforest. Hi, Tina.
Hi, Elisa. How are you today?
Good. We are touring with Rainforest, Lunch Without Lunch. And we just wanted to hear your story about connecting with Rainforest.
Great. Yeah, I came early on to Rainforest, early 2017. and somebody in Rainforest invited a guest, and so that was Pete Fenwick. Brought me along to the first meeting, says, you gotta check this out, and went and really enjoyed the first meeting. And as was usual, had to introduce myself at the end, and what was I trying to drive. And at that time, mentioned BioHub. We really needed a place for companies to go and grow, and made lots of great connections those early days of the rainforest. Those connections are what, we met Peter Calverley, who is now on our board at Scientra, and others. So some great connections there, really vital for growing a company here in Alberta. And really appreciated those times in the community. And so it's great to see it come really full circle from those early days and pitching BioHub and development of the companies here in Alberta, meeting the great people across many different sectors that were all interested in growing innovation, growing the Alberta economy, creating jobs in Alberta. Just a great community to be part of.
And it comes full circle. This is fantastic. Thank you so much, Tina.
Thank you, Elisa.
Okay, we will continue with our tour.
Great. Thank you very much, Tina. All right, so we're going to continue our tour. We've got multiple offices, a server room, and for some reason our conference room is being occupied right at the moment, but we'll see if we can get another shot of that at the end of the tour. One of our SMEs, again, they're just still moving in, and are we going to talk with them?
Sure. We are, this is Tab Labs, I believe.
Yes.
Tab Labs is a SME that is in the blood collection or sample collection space. So they're a mobile lab, which is something that's quite necessary for individuals who are not able to get to one of the laboratory services that we have here.
And if we come around the corner, this is currently one of the very few vacant offices that we have. So if anyone is looking for an office space up in Royal Oak, we have one for you. And we've actually got the lights off right now. I think people just like that it's a little bit dark. This is another Scientra office. This corridor takes us into the Scientra space, which we're not going to be going into today. And here we have a shared kitchen facility with all the things that you would expect. And now we'll take you over to the laboratory side of the facility. If I was a visitor, I might actually sign out because I remember to sign in as well, because that's an important part of safety.
Okay, so we are entering the laboratory space. The technical space is a combination of common and private lab space that has been fitted for regulatory approval.
So right off the main lobby, we've got a small area here, and this is where some of our SMEs can do biological samples and collections. So we've actually got a collection room. It's very similar to what you might see in where you draw blood at Calgary Lab Services. And there's an actual bed so that if SMEs wanted to do an ultrasound as a part of their study or an ECG, something along those lines, that's available.
Okay, great. Come on down this way.
And normally, if you come into the lab, you would need to put on a lab coat. And but as we're just moving in.
Hi guys. Hi.
This is Rainforest visiting us today.
Hello, Rainforest.
Love to chat about Nanotest and what you do.
Yeah, of course. So Nanotest is a material science startup focused on commercializing products in the health sector. and our first focus is on a chronic wound care dressing that aims to support diabetic foot ulcer patients in their healing journey.
So we're very happy to have Nanotest in the space, and they're occupying one of the larger labs. And as you can see, they're just moving in, but very excited, and yeah, we're really looking forward to being here with Nanotest on a day-to-day.
One question for you, is there an ask that you would like to make to the rainforest ecosystem?
And ask, you know, we're always looking for connections and collaboration partnerships. So if anyone is interested in learning more about what we do, our website's nanotest.com. Feel free to reach out to us at info@nanotest.com as well through email. And we'd be happy to chat, share more, and see if there's any collaboration opportunities out there.
Great.
Fantastic.
Thank
Okay,
you, Megan.
thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. We're still moving in. One of the interesting things about this facility is it was previously occupied by another laboratory service provider. So a lot of the infrastructure was already in place, which is great because we're able to utilize the space almost immediately, and which is a great benefit for BiohubX, but also for the SMEs that are occupied here. So yeah, it's absolutely a fantastic facility. For people that have worked in labs, you'll notice a lot of familiar kind of equipment and amenities. We've got a nice big walk-in freezer. If we come down the hall a little bit further, we've got refrigerators and of course our brand new, let me get a close-up of the screen, our -80 freezer that just arrived and had been back ordered for some time just because of the demand on -80s.
COVID related.
And so the middle part of the lab is our shared lab environment. And although we're not 100% set up at the moment, the idea is that companies or individuals that need to just rent maybe some small bench space, or they only need a lab for a very short period of time, they can come in and just occupy this for a week or a day or whatever that looks like.
Yes. So one thing we would like to mention is that we do have some government funding that we have allocated to purchase some equipment that will be shared among the ventures, and also it'll be used in the common lab.
Yes, a big thanks to Western Economic Diversification for the $1.457 million that they've contributed to the facility over the next 3 years. So we're really putting it to good use. This is one of our anchor SMEs, so Scientra, and in a few moments we'll talk to Ken.
Well, Ken Flo will be here to talk about Scientra and the work that they do in the breast cancer detection space.
And we'll just show you the rest of the facility. So this is going to be our biologics area of the lab. We've got some incubators and our biosafety cabinet, and they're just getting set up now and certified.
And we have a bunch of other equipment that's en route that'll be set up in this space.
Yeah. This is our private lab number 2, and it's a good example of the type of space that SMEs can occupy, and it would be a private space. Often some of the labs, they don't need 2,000 square feet, they just need a very small square footage to set up potentially like a regulated space, whether you have an ISO certification or a CPSA certification that's required. So you need to have your own space and a door that you can lock, and then the regular day-to-day activities can happen in the shared lab. And again, BiohubX is going to be providing a lot of that equipment to help reduce the cost and make it very economical for companies to operate in the facility. Okay, it looks like Ken from Scientra has finished running his samples, so let's go have a word with Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hello, so I'm Kenneth Fu. I'm a co-founder and the lead scientist for product at Scientra. Sientra is a precision healthcare company that's spun out of the University of Calgary, and we're very excited to bring to market our flagship product, the Sientra DX breast cancer test. This is a molecular assay for detecting breast cancer, and it's currently available for patients who are interested in being tested.
So Ken, this test is actually for sale now, is that right?
That's right. So we've been certified in the space, and we're currently accepting paid samples, and we encourage those who want to be sure of the breast cancer status to order a test and eventually get tested.
How is this different than what's already in the market?
So this is actually intended for women between the ages of 25 and 80. The intended uses are for women, especially those challenged with current breast imaging modalities, such as women with dense breasts or younger women with a family history of breast cancer.
Fantastic. And why is Sientra in its own space?
So this is a regulatory controlled space. All our test development procedures have been carried out in a very stringent regulatory framework. And so as part of our accreditation, the space needs to be controlled because all processes in the space are carried out within that regulatory framework.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, let's go take a look and see where the magic happens.
Right on. Welcome in. So once the test is ordered, a blood sample is collected in a Sientra specified tube and sent to the laboratory for molecular testing. So first, nucleic acids are extracted, quantified, and normalized. Then a unique molecular signature is quantified using proprietary test components that have been manufactured in GMP. Finally, machine learning algorithms are called upon to pick up the raw data, perform analysis, and generate a results report. So this report consists of test results revealing the presence and absence of breast cancer, as well as all performed quality control checks.
Okay, so Ken, thank you so much for sharing about Sientra. Do you have an ask of the Rainforest ecosystem?
Definitely. So the ask would be to get the ladies in your lives tested, because every woman deserves to be sure.
Okay, and how can they learn more about how to get access to the test?
So there's an information for patients section on our website at www.sientra.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Ken.
Yeah.
If you are wondering why we are standing in a small enclosed space, it's because it's the entrance to our amazing fitness room. And the space is available to all of our tenants to use as they like. We have weights in the corners and cardio machines. Yeah, it's a nice feature, very nice feature of the building. And now we'll have a demonstration of a chin-up by some of our staff.
This could be dangerous.
There you go. There you go.
One more.
Just
one more.
So that concludes the tour of the BiohubX facility. And I just want to point out that this is BioSpace 1. And we named it 1 on purpose because we have our sights set on BioSpace 2. And we're really excited about what that may look like. And I think our ask of the Rainforest community would be to spread the word about the facility, even though we don't have much space left here. We are certainly looking for an industry partner to partner with BiohubX and be the anchor tenant for a BioSpace 2, maybe a BioSpace 3, or more facilities.
And to the Rainforest ecosystem, we welcome you to visit our website, www.biohubx.com, and fill out a membership form. That way you can stay tuned and updated on any development coming our way.
And it's free.
And it's free.
Thank you for having us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So cool. Great job on the video. Thanks so much, Andrew and team. And I just want to quickly, before we reach 12:30, I know Tina has to go at 12:30. So Tina, if you wanted to say a few words or anything you wanted to share with the group, feel free before I know you have to run.
Yeah, sure. Whatever questions people have, I'm happy to answer any questions about Scientra. And then there's some business questions that Jeff can come back to that have been posted in the chat.
There was one question I saw in the chat there, Tina, regarding Scientra scaling and are you going to grow out of the space?
Yeah. So the idea with BiohubX is that BiohubX is here to support the community. So the SMEs, companies coming from outside of the province that are looking to relocate in Calgary, help find space, and then co-locate tenants that have some synergies, maybe some common use of equipment, maybe some other collaboration type of opportunities, really cross-sector type of involvement. And so the answer is, right now, it's supporting the idea of BiohubX is that it's to support companies that are scaling and growing. So space can contract or expand with you. And there'll be other facilities that once Scientra outgrows this space, BiohubX will be there to help us find our next space.
And just to follow on that, you know, the idea is to grow and contract with the companies and not try and lock them in any kind of long-term kind of commitments to space. So if Scientra was ready to move on into a much larger facility, we'd be happy to move them along and move other SMEs into the space. And if they happen to need to give back some space, that's actually a scenario that we want to be able to support as well, to make sure that the companies aren't encumbered by a space that they're just not using. So it's part of the flexibility that we provide.
Yeah, and Jeff, there's another question about Edmonton. Do you want to take that one?
Sure, certainly. Originally, BiohubX was called Calgary BioHub, and we quickly realized that there was a lot of demand for this type of space. And so we didn't want to be regionally kind of restricted. So we switched our name to BiohubX, and we certainly would look at facilities. An ideal facility is one that maybe was used, like the facility that we're in right now. If it was used by another company and is no longer in use, we can quickly kind of go in and really replicate what we've done here. That's kind of, so if anyone knows of any lab facilities that's not being utilized or has capacity, we would be happy to kind of go in and see how we can compartmentalize it. And we actually partnered with dirt wall systems, and we use that system on purpose. Although this facility is not it's not a massive facility, but we wanted to get some experience with modular wall systems so that we could expand and contract with the companies. And sometimes the extra 3 feet on lab bench area is an important 3 feet for some of the companies that maybe have like a CPSA kind of regulated space where they need to go from station to station in this kind of linear fashion. So yeah, so we have a lot of flexibility that way.
Yeah, maybe I'll just add just a little bit to that. So when we're looking for space, when way back at the beginning of Rainforest, for example, it was really about, we need space to grow in, and here in Calgary there wasn't that space available really at the time. And then there's Life Science Innovation Hub now in Calgary. And really what the BiohubX space is as companies are graduating out of university incubator space, or like I said, coming in from outside, there was a need for facilities and organizations to be able to help link those companies into space that met their needs. And there's a lingo around it. So as you saw Jeff talking in the video about biosafety cabinets and these kinds of things. So ventilation's important, power is important. So there's a lot of things that are in the basic infrastructure that are important for companies in the life science that are more specified than just kind of regular office space. So Jeff's really gotten up to speed on a lot of those infrastructure requirements over the years. And so that's a real advantage to companies. It's a real resource here, as well as linking into the other ecosystem participants. Really, really important because we do have a lot of great resources in Alberta. And so linking the companies and the contacts that we have to those other resources to match their needs.
Thanks so much, Tina. And I know you have to run, so big thank you for joining us in this half hour, and we'll turn the rest of the questions over to Jeff.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good
Thanks,
one.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah, Jeff, there's a few other questions in there from Patrick around kind of the financial model of BiohubX. I think you probably saw those in there.
Yeah, we actually insulate the tenants from some of the, a conventional lease. So we just charge like a gross rate for the spaces. So whether it's an office or a lab space, in terms of how we operate the shared lab, we're still getting equipment in and getting that running. So there'll likely be kind of a la carte kind of menu that people can pick from to get access to certain equipment, or just hours in the space. We're not entirely sure what that'll look like, but we really try to simplify the model and just make it a monthly rate. And if there's infrastructure that's required that we can build out to support the company, we'll try and do that. And that's where the industry partner comes in, where Dynalife, they've been fantastic in prepping the lab, waxing the floors, painting the space, project managing some of the changes, contributing lab benching, equipment, expertise. And really the idea is that we all want to support the companies. It's not a for-profit venture. Anything that we do at cost, really.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Are there any other questions from the group? Feel free to raise your hand and hop on the mic. Peter, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, is there a great presentation and fantastic, and congratulations on this effort. I'm really happy to see this. I'm wondering if there's a database and or a collaboration system for sharing data, intellectual property, and with other labs and facilities, so that there's a central kind of who's working on what and how maybe we could share information.
There's some of the more the government agencies have been looking at, because we really believe that there needs to be a triaging system, so that when companies come into the ecosystem, or if we can attract companies, Calgary's in Alberta is such a fantastic place to operate your business. And the life sciences sector is really fragmented, and so we're really looking to be just a resource within the ecosystem. And there are some efforts underway to help kind of build that navigation system, so that so that when companies come in and they need, depending on what stage they're at, that they would be kind of triaged to the right organization. And so we're really not trying to be competitive in any way. A lot of people ask us how we're different from the Life Science Innovation Hub. And the reality is, and ideal for companies when they're very connected to the university and research. But when they want to commercialize and they want to build a private company, we're positioned in the space so that those companies can graduate into our space. And if they can graduate right into their own space, that's fantastic. But often that's not an economic reality for some of these pre-revenue companies. But certainly connecting everybody is on our agenda, and we'll when we see how that gets kind of rolled out, or if it gets rolled out, we'll want to be participate and wave our hand and say, hey, we're a resource for companies in this very specific stage, which is that commercialization and scaling stage.
Thanks, Jeff.
Great. Any other questions?
there was a question on here about whether we are expanding to the Edmonton area. Do we want to discuss that, Jeff?
We did mention that we would look at space in Edmonton, but really, we literally launched on May 27th, and so we're really trying to get our feet under us here. But what's been fantastic is the interest in the space. And there's been a number of companies that we've actually turned away because we just don't have the square footage to be able to accommodate. But the idea that you would use public dollars to build this type of infrastructure to create kind of the stepping stone for these pre-revenue companies, it is, that we get lots of positive feedback for that. And the idea is simply that these companies can really just be in the space for as long as they need, and then graduate into their own space as needed. So.
Great. I think V has a question.
Yeah, I just have a question based on the triage, Jeff, you mentioned.
Yeah.
And the companies you're accepting are at commercialization and staging, I think you said?
Scaling.
Scale,
Yeah.
Commercialization and scaling. Where can I find more out about the different stages?
So we're, maybe Elisa, you can talk a little bit about the programming side and what's to come.
Sure. So we are building programming around something called the Gates model. It was developed out of Harvard, and it's a comprehensive look at biotechnology and commercialization. That there is maybe I can share here, or Jeff, if you can pull it up. There is a wheel that you can reference, and you will be able to see where a venture is in terms of development and what areas that need to work on to get to market. So that's how we reference our ventures.
And if I can add to that, the Gates models, when we were first exposed to the model, Tina especially, because she's been through the process, and she was so excited because the model really represents the journey that they've had, and it's not a linear journey. There's a bunch of different streams. They call it a carousel. And so you might look at, from a technology side, it has its own kind of progression. From a regulatory side, from a business and corporate structure side. And the idea is that, and this is such a fantastic tool, and BiohubX is actually working with them to not just use the tool for BiohubX members, but actually make it a tool available for all companies, not just in the province, but Canada, because the amazing thing about the tool is they've done such a great job at identifying every kind of mapping out the journey on each of those different pathways, and identifying the specific tasks that that companies need to accomplish in order to kind of get to the next level. And when you start, when the companies go in and they input the information about where they are at each of these different pathways, you get to see this map of where they are, whether they're stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, and it loosely maps for people that are familiar with the TRL model, but a little bit disconnected. And the idea, the way we intend to use it is use it as that triaging tool where companies, whether they're where it doesn't geographically, it doesn't matter where they're based, but when they if they fill out the model and do kind of the self-assessment, it'll actually tell us what stage they're at. And we've been through the model a few times, and the companies that fill it out, if they're in this kind of stage 4, 5, 6, 7 in the later stages, it'd likely be good candidates for our space. And if they're at that earlier stage, it might be
maybe a research lab, or maybe even still just in office space while they and maybe just using some bench space somewhere because they're still validating their technology.
For ventures that are considering or thinking about space and wondering if they would be a good fit, I think it's best to just connect with us.
Yep.
And we'll have that conversation. If it's not a good fit for BiohubX or Biospace One, we're also connected to other resources in the ecosystem, and we're very happy to make recommendations and connect you to what would be most appropriate for you. We also are going to be launching something around virtual office, a package that would provide services that would support individuals or ventures that just want an office address, a business address. And so we will likely have an announcement late September around what that means. And we'll also publicize it through social media and our website.
Wow, that's great. Thank you. That's way more than I thought you were going to give. Thank you.
What a great model. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Are there any other questions before we head into breakouts? No, good. All right, well, hopefully we have Elisa and Jeff and Andrew scattered throughout the breakout rooms. We've tried our hardest. Amber is going to open those up, and we can look to connect. So feel free to ask questions to BiohubX, or if you have any other asks or things you want to give back to the community, this is your chance. So we'll head into those breakout rooms. About how awesome virtual tours are, and so hoping everyone else is enjoying them as much as us. We are continuing them on probably beyond the summer because we're having so much fun. We will have next week Clean O2, who are carbon capture, they make soap. Then we have Zero Key Spatial the following week. True Angle is moving into a new facility that will be touring on August 18th. And then Ellie Bianca, a skincare company, on August 25th, and they'll just keep rolling into September. So if you have any cool companies or just innovation supporters who want to feature their space and lift the curtain, let us know. So I just, before we head into announcements, just want to say a huge thank you to Jeff, to Tina, to Andrew, and to Elisa for the work they put into the awesome video today and tour and answering all of our questions. And we look forward to promoting BiohubX beyond the rainforest community. So thanks for being with us today. And I'll open it up for announcements. And Amber has got one right off the bat. She's our community storyteller.
Hey everyone. So next Tuesday, August 3rd, Power Hour has been reimagined to start up pitches and drinks. So join us. We're going to have a night of virtual beer or pop tasting. We're going to have a game. It's a bingo scavenger hunt. There may or may not be prizes. You'll have to join us to find out. And we're also, you have the chance to pitch your idea. You have to sign up to pitch, but we hope to see you there August 3rd, 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I'll put the link in the chat.
Awesome. Any other announcements?
I do. Sorry. Just reminding everybody, we're helping the Children's Hospice. The hospice, I don't know if you're aware of it, is a place where children that are in deep trouble and their families, it's a beautiful facility that helps them navigate terminally ill children. Been involved for many years, and we're actually raffling off a Harley Davidson and or money. And you can buy a ticket for either $10 or $100. But it's going to a great, great cause, and there's no administrative overhead whatsoever. We donate the bike, we donate the bicycles. It's just a pure give money to this important program. So thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. Any other announcements?
If you don't mind, I'll pitch the podcast again. So many of you know we have a Rainforest podcast called the Leaders, Innovators, and Big Ideas podcast. We're always looking for hosts. And I just want to let you know, those of you who are either looking for work or potentially trying to expand your personal networks, you get to choose between, hey, I'm Al, I'd love to get to know you better, or Hey, I'm Al. I'm wondering if you'd be interested in being on the Rainforest podcast. So see a second pitch. It actually works better than the first pitch when you're trying to connect with people. So consider that. And if you're interested in being a part of the podcast, please reach out to me. I posted in the chat.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Al. And Al has a really slick system for doing that. So don't be scared of hosting or even being a guest. It's pretty straightforward and simple, and you get to meet lots of cool people. Anybody else?
I'd like to announce that Al is a very cool guy and does a lot of great work.
I second that mostly. All right. On that note, we'll wrap up for the day. Have a great rest of the week, everybody, and head over to Slack to keep the conversation going. If you don't know how to access it, sign our social contract and you'll get the link.
Thanks very much.
Bye, everyone.
See you guys later.
Bye, Patrick.